Welcome to 1OC's Emergency Volunteer Center Overview. This series of training sessions has been produced for 1OC disaster cadre members to become proficient in the management of spontaneous volunteers. While viewers will learn how to perform each function within the EVC, this series should be viewed as a supplement to scenario-based trainings, drills, and/or exercises. This series is for the sole purpose of training 1OC staff and disaster cadre members involved in disaster management, and for no other purpose. Before implementing any policies or procedures contained within these videos, please contact the 1OC Office of Disaster Management for any changes or updates. 714-953-5757. Hello, my name is James, and I will be guiding you through this online tutorial. This tutorial includes this instructional video, a 10-question quiz, and information on how to register to volunteer. Before starting, we would like to thank our sponsor Southern California Edison. Welcome to 1OC's online training series for Emergency Volunteer Center operations. Thank you for expressing interest in joining our disaster cadre. The purpose of this tutorial is to give you a brief overview of 1OC's Emergency Volunteer Center, spontaneous volunteers, and your involvement. Section 1 Objectives. By the end of this section you will become familiar with 1OC's mission and services. You will know what the acronym EVC stands for. You will be introduced to the Emergency Volunteer Center and learn why it exists. You will learn the types of disasters that Orange County is at risk for. Let's talk about 1OC and what we do under normal circumstances. 1OC works with the local community and corporate partners to accelerate the success of Orange County nonprofits. 1OC offers volunteer services, consulting services, training services, and business services. For more information go to 1OC.org to learn more. In times of disaster, 1OC is Orange County's authorized Emergency Volunteer Center, or EVC. For volunteer coordination during an active disaster, 1OC coordinates volunteers for the community, so all organizations and agencies can better respond to, and recover from, potentially devastating disasters. The EVC accelerates recovery efforts by directing the outpouring of human resources to where it's most needed, as quickly as possible, creating order out of potential chaos. 1OC gives people an opportunity to be involved in the recovery of their own community. Orange County is a pretty big place and a large disaster could affect millions. It is comprised of 3,200,000 residences, in over 1 million housing units, in a geographical area of 790 square miles. Most of us here in Southern California have not experienced the level of destruction that disasters cause in other places around the world. Southern California is not immune to potential earthquakes. Most earthquakes go unfelt by most of us. Even large tremors can cause damage. Additional disaster concerns in California include wildfires, storms, floods, tsunamis, and even oil spills and terrorist attacks. Section 2 Objectives. You will know what spontaneous volunteers are and how to identify them. You will be able to define SUV. You will understand why spontaneous volunteers need to be managed. You will become familiar with historical disasters and how spontaneous volunteers affected the response of those disasters. In times of great need, people from all walks of life and all geographical areas step up to help each other. Potentially thousands of people with no training, no expertise in disaster work, no background in organized disaster relief, will all come forward to help. They all want to help now. They are not associated with any government agencies, non-profits, or community organizations that are active or trained in disaster operations. These are what we call spontaneous volunteers. Think about your next-door neighbor who wants to bake cookies and bring them to the local church during a storm. Consider your neighbor who lends his truck to aid in distributing blankets. These spontaneous volunteers often go to where they believe the greatest need is, which is the front lines. This is the last place they should be. The front lines of a disaster are dangerous, chaotic, and buzzing with first responders who cannot be distracted. Spontaneous volunteers will also show up at fire stations, police stations, schools, anywhere they think they can help. These folks have a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and skills. If managed properly, spontaneous volunteers can be utilized to the community's advantage. If not managed properly, they can easily become counterproductive. duplicate existing services, overwhelm limited resources, or distract first responders. Spontaneous volunteers are also known as converging, unaffiliated, walk-in, and spontaneous unaffiliated volunteers, or SUVs for short. We have seen spontaneous volunteers or come forward in just about every large-scale disaster. Think back to Hurricane Katrina, September 11th, and Hurricane Sandy. 38,000 people showed up to help at Ground Zero after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Section 3 Objectives. You will know what the emergency volunteer centers do. You will be able to identify the 3 types of EVCs. You will know what the disaster cadre is and what it is trained to do. As stated before, the EVC coordinates spontaneous volunteers. As such, EVC could be virtual or phone-based, but when technology is unreliable or a large amount of volunteers needs to be processed quickly, it becomes a walk-in center. The EVC is the best way to mobilize and duplicate the workforce. In times of disaster, it serves as a hub where people can register to help for available volunteer jobs. Job assignments will come from organizations and agencies involved in the disaster response. That's where you come in. If you are watching this, you most likely expressed interest in becoming a disaster cadre member. 1OC's disaster cadre is specifically trained to evaluate the skills of spontaneous volunteers. It is our job to identify the helpers, organize them, and put them to work where they are absolutely needed. We also take care of the spontaneous volunteers with breaks, good supervision, meaningful work, and keeping them informed. Cadre members also help the volunteers feel valued for giving your unpaid time and skills to help others. Managing, leading, and directing volunteers is no easy job, nor is it glamorous, but it is rewarding. Here in Orange County, 110C's disaster cadre will be fundamental in the recovery of our community in times of disaster. Section 4 Objectives. By the end of this section, you will understand what duties you have as a disaster cadre member. You will know the minimum requirements of the cadre program. You will know what traits are valued and desired within the cadre program. If I get involved with this, what will I be doing? There are several different jobs and duties within the EVC. If you join the disaster cadre, we will provide training for you to be well versed in all aspects of the EVC, including all positions that are needed for successful operations. There are other supplementary things to do, such as recruit additional cadre members, and take free online FEMA courses. In a real disaster situation, chances are high that everyone will be expected to wear multiple hats. When you complete the entire disaster series, you will be fully competent to perform each and every duty within the EVC, including managing the entire operation. In times of non-disaster, you will become an expert in EVC operations. Be personally prepared. Have the opportunity to connect in a network with like-minded people who have similar interests and passions. Help spread awareness about 1OC, the disaster cadre, and disaster preparedness in general. Change the way people think about and make a positive impact in Orange County. There are 4 disaster cadre levels of the program. Your completion of each level results in various recognition, including a type certification as well as a color-coded t-shirt that coincides with your certification level. That way, when a disaster does happen, if you show up to the EVC in your highest ranking t-shirt, everyone will know exactly what you've been trained and certified to do. What is the commitment? We ask that you commit to 1 hour of training per month. We meet on the 3rd Thursday of each month from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. In order to be an effective member of the disaster, it is crucial that you attend at least 2 training meetings and 1 day of service activation event per year to stay current. That's at the very minimum. It is also important to become familiar with basic emergency operations by taking free online FEMA courses. We ask that each cadre member take some time to ensure your own personal preparedness. You can learn more about how to become personally prepared by taking the free FEMA course IS-22. Be present at the EVC during a disaster only after you and your family are secured. We would never ask or expect that you serve your community if you have personal issues that you need to take care of. What characteristics do cadre members have? The biggest traits we look for is the willingness to learn and listen, and committed to getting trained in the EDC positions. It is also helpful if you can remain calm under stress, and be flexible to changes. We value diversity, and hope you do too. And finally, we encourage anyone over the age of 18 to join when ready. Congratulations! You have completed this tutorial. To finish this training, please take the quiz.